Hello Nocturnalites and fellow YouTubeopians. Tonight I bring you this DIY, the Flash Tinted Mason Jar Light. If you're a fan of the show and or would like to see how to make this awesome sauce room decoration piece, then just refrain from exiting this video. Yes, seriously, just keep it playing. Alright, let's forge ahead. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, so let's start by gathering the things you will need. A popsicle stick, red food coloring and gold paint, the Flash logo pictures printed on an inkjet printer, 2 cups, a sponge brush, Mod Podge in gloss and as an option glow in the dark, rubbing alcohol and paper towel, acrylic spray sealer, mini battery operated lights, a mason jar, and lastly, a manila folder or newspaper. Woot, it's go time! So the first step will be to wipe down the inside of the jar with the rubbing alcohol just to remove any oils or dirt that may prevent a smooth finish on your tint. If you don't have rubbing alcohol, however, you can also use vinegar. Just make sure that either one you use, the jar is nice and dry before moving on to the second step. Speaking of the second step, for this you're going to want to grab one of your cups and your gloss Mod Podge and pour a little over 1/4 of the way full or enough to generously coat the inside of your mason jar. And as you can see here, I'm really just eyeballing it. And once I got the right amount, I'm going to take my red food coloring. Here I'm opening it, taking off the seal, and then you're just going to add a few drops at a time and mix away until you're happy with the shade that you get. Now, at first it's going to look a little pinkish, and even the end product might end up looking a little pinkish, but that's obviously going to happen because the Mod Podge is white and you're adding red. But when it dries, it's going to dry clear with the tint of the food coloring, which in this case of course is red. So the more drops you add, obviously the darker shade of red you'll end up with once it dries in the jar. And in total I ended up using about 10 drops, and I was super happy with the shade of red that I got once my jar dried, so I'd say use 10 drops minimum. Once you've got your concoction ready to go, go ahead and pour it straight into your mason jar, giving it a quick stir to make sure the color is even throughout. And then you're just going to, once I get all of that in there, stirring, stirring, still stirring, still. Okay, now you're just going to rotate the jar back and forth until your mixture fully coats the inside of the jar. And as you can see, that is what I am doing there. It is a little bit of a process, because especially at the end, because I don't know, it just gets really thinned out, I guess, and it gets a little bit harder to coat. But that is where our handy dandy second cup comes in. Just gonna flip it upside down and let the excess drip out. And that'll get the rest of the the neck of the jar coated. Once you got that done, you're just going to let it dry. Now, a few words on the drying. Ideally, you want to stick it in the oven on a cookie sheet lined with wax paper at 175 to 225 degrees Fahrenheit for 30 minutes to an hour, checking occasionally to see if it's dried clear. But I didn't have, or my oven wasn't working, so I stuck it next to a heater, a portable heater, and it got the job done. So you can try that, or you can just let it air dry for a couple of days and you'll get the same results that I did, or at least that's what should happen. Alright, so while we're waiting, while we're waiting for it to dry, we're going to paint our cap gold. So grab your gold paint, your sponge brush, and then your manila folder, and go ahead and put the gold paint on there and go ahead and paint that puppy up. Okay, sorry if that was weird, but anyways, yep, just go ahead and paint that. I actually ended up using a few coats, and instead of liquid paint you could probably use spray paint and it would probably come out a lot neater, because mine came out a little streaky, but I only had the liquid paint, so work with what you got, you know. And I'm just gonna finish that up and then we will keep moving forward. Sweet niblets. Okay, so grab your 3 pictures, and what I did, because I just printed this on regular paper, regular inkjet printer, I took some acrylic sealer spray and I coated those pictures with a few layers and let it dry. That way it does not bleed when I put the Mod Podge on. And speaking of drying, check out the jar. It looks super cool in my opinion. This is what it should look like once yours is completely dry. And yeah, it's so cool already, but we're gonna make it even cooler. So I'm gonna take my Mod Podge. Here I'm using the glow-in-the-dark one, but totally just go for the gloss one if that's all you have on hand. I just thought it would be cool to try to get the glow-in-the-dark effect on the different logos that I was using, but I realized that it takes more than just a couple of layers to get the really bright glow-in-the-dark effect, so it was kind of a fail, but I technically could go back and do it again, but just left it that way. Anyways, taking a little bit of the Mod Podge and putting some on the back of our little picture there, and then I'm just going to place it on the jar as I like. Yep, just gonna do that, just positioning it and making it all nice and neat. And then I'm going to take some more Mod Podge and put a layer or a coat on top of the picture, and you'll see as I go along too that I take a little piece of paper towel, or you could actually just use a Q-tip, and some rubbing alcohol and cleaning up around the image, just because I didn't want there to be like streaks around the picture. So I just wanted the Mod Podge to seal the picture onto the jar, and yep, cleaning up around the area, which I am about to do. See? There it is. There it is. But yeah, I'm just going to repeat the same process for the other 2 pictures, putting the logo below the flash, and then putting the profile picture on the opposite side of the jar, and then we'll move on to the final step. Once your images are dried, last step is just to stick the light inside of the jar. You can use a mini string light like I'm using, or a tea light. Make sure it's battery operated though. You don't want to use real fire. But yeah, I'm just going to stick that inside the jar and then screw on the top and wait for it. Leave a comment below if you know where that's from. Look how cool that is. Please give this video a thumbs up if you like it as much as I do. I think it looks epically awesome in my opinion. And don't forget to subscribe and tune in next week. And until then, good night and good luck. Thanks for watching.